Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 1 of August 2025. Economists widely anticipate the Reserve Bank of India to maintain policy rates this week, amidst concerns over the economic impact of US tariffs and ongoing trade negotiations. While most expect a status quo, some predict a rate cut, citing low retail inflation. The RBI is expected to hold the growth forecast at 6%. VinFast, the Vietnamese electric vehicle manufacturer, has inaugurated its first manufacturing plant in southern India, signaling a significant move to penetrate the country's booming auto market. With a planned investment of $2 billion in Tamil Nadu, VinFast aims to produce up to 150,000 vehicles annually. The company anticipates introducing its cars to Indian showrooms later this month. Indian banks are facing challenges. CASA ratios of top lenders have decreased. This decline affects their net interest margins. HDFC Bank and IndusInd Bank experienced significant drops. Kotak Mahindra Bank saw the sharpest fall. Banks are now relying on costlier funding sources. Some banks are cutting savings account interest rates. This shift impacts core profitability for Indian banks. Starlink has secured a license to launch satellite internet services in India, with spectrum allocation frameworks in place. This announcement coincides with the 30th anniversary of India's first cellular call. The country's digital transformation includes a surge in internet subscriptions, affordable data, and advancements in 5G technology, positioning India as a global leader in the telecom sector. The International Financial Services Centres or IFSC Authority has amended the Fund Management Regulations 2025 to create a structured regulatory framework for third-party fund management services. Under the new framework, a registered fund management entity or FME is now permitted to manage investment schemes on behalf of third parties, subject to obtaining prior authorization from the authority. This move opens up new avenues for fund managers to operate as service providers for other investment entities, fostering a more dynamic and diverse financial ecosystem in the IFSC. The government is planning to increase the outlay for the rare earth magnet manufacturing scheme to over Rs 5,000 crore, up from the originally proposed Rs 1,350 crore. In addition, the annual production target is likely to be quadrupled from 1,500 metric ton to around 6,000 metric tons. The move is part of a broader push to expand domestic capacity in the strategically critical segment of rare earth permanent magnets, which are widely used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, electronics, and defense systems. India is set to launch a Rs 20,000 crore export promotion mission by September, aiming to protect exporters from global trade uncertainties. The initiative, driven by multiple ministries, includes measures for easy export credit, tackling non-tariff barriers, and promoting Brand India. This plan seeks to mitigate the impact of the US's 25% tariff on Indian goods and boost overall export competitiveness. The Committee for Aggregation of CA Firms or CACAF of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has released 2 comprehensive publications aimed at guiding chartered accountancy firms through the process of restructuring. The newly issued document FAQs on ICAI Merger and Demerger of CA Firms Guidelines 2024 and FAQs on ICAI Aggregation of LLPs Guidelines 2024 provide much needed clarity and procedural guidance on firm level consolidation, reorganization, and collaboration. The Securities and Exchange Board of India has proposed amendments aimed at tightening the regulatory framework for green debt securities. The key proposal mandates the appointment of independent third-party reviewers or certifiers for such instruments. This reviewer must be independent of the issuer, including its directors, senior management, and key managerial personnel. This move seeks to bring green debt instruments in line with the regulatory standards already applicable to other ESG-linked bonds such as social bonds and sustainability bonds. Electric vehicle maker Ather Energy is charting the next step of its expansion strategy. Deeper penetration into northern states like Rajasthan, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh, as well as northeastern states. The Hero MotoCorp-backed company has been eyeing network expansion, planning to double its experience centers to 700 across India by the end of financial year 26. Ather added 95 stores in Q1, bringing its total store count to 446. Aerospace manufacturing startup J Aerospace has secured $11 million in Series A funding round led by Elevation Capital, with participation from existing investor General Catalyst. Headquartered in Atlanta in the US, J Aerospace operates with advanced facilities and production capacity in Hyderabad. It plans to use the funds to build mega factories and advance software-defined manufacturing for reliable, scalable production. Internet company Rediff is exploring options, including an initial public offering to raise up to $100 million to accelerate its push into enterprise-grade email, business productivity suite, and digital payments. The company, which is majority owned by financial technology company Infibeam Avenues Limited, is considering options such as launching an IPO, private placement, or private equity participation to raise capital. India's Bluestone Jewelry and Lifestyle has trimmed the size of its initial public offering. The Axel India-backed company will now issue fresh shares worth 8.2 billion rupees or about $93 million, down from 10 billion rupees earlier. The company, which sells diamond, gold, platinum, and studded jewelry, competes with Titan, Kalyan Jewelers, and Tribundas Bhimji Zaveri among listed firms in India. Donald Trump has called India a poor trading partner and plans to raise tariffs on Indian imports beyond the current 25% within 24 hours, citing India's continued Russian oil purchases. India strongly rejected the criticism, pointing to ongoing US and EU trade with Russia. The rare political consensus in India condemned Trump's remarks as experts warned of a major export hit. The International Financial Services Centers Authority, or IFSCA, has introduced the TechFin and Ancillary Services or TAS Regulations 2025 with immediate effect. These regulations aim to streamline the regulatory framework for TechFin and related ancillary service providers operating within IFSCs. Under the new framework, all new applicants intending to offer services under TAS regulations must now submit an application fee of $1,000 along with a one-time registration fee of $2,500. Venture capital firm Z47 and hedge fund Tiger Global trimmed their stake in Bengaluru-based Ola Electric during Q1 financial year 26. On average, Z47, formerly Matrix Partners India, is expected to have made between Rs 155 crore and Rs 192.9 crore as a result of this stake sale, while Tiger Global, which holds a stake in the company through its Internet Fund 3, is expected to have taken home between Rs 39 crore to Rs 48.7 crore. The news comes after South Korean automotive major Hyundai and Kia offloaded their stake in Ola Electric through open market transactions in June. Non-banking financial company Tata Capital has filed updated draft papers for an initial public offering comprising up to 47.58 crore equity shares. The funds mobilized through the issue will be used for augmentation of the company's Tier 1 capital base to meet future capital requirements, including onward lending. If successful, this IPO will be the largest initial share sale in the country's financial sector. It will also mark Tata Group's second public market debut in recent years, following the listing of Tata Technologies in November 2023. India is just weeks away from achieving a historic feat in the global commercial real estate landscape. The country is set to cross 1 billion square feet of office stock by the third quarter of 2025, making it the fourth largest office market in the world. This milestone represents a monumental leap from just 192 million square feet in 2005, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 8.6% over the last 20 years. India now stands on the brink of global real estate recognition, trailing only China, the US, and Japan. Indian state-owned oil refiners are scaling back Russian crude purchases amid increased pressure from Washington, including tariffs on Indian exports. Companies like Indian Oil Corp are pausing spot purchases of Ural cargoes for October loading, awaiting government guidance. This shift could lead to increased demand for alternative crude sources from the US, Middle East and Africa. The Reserve Bank of India's MPC under Governor Sanjay Malhotra has maintained the repo rate at 5.5% after previous cuts. This decision precedes the festive season, a period of increased credit demand. It reflects a cautious approach to balancing external economic pressures and supporting domestic growth amidst easing inflation and trade concerns. Adani Airports plans to invest Rs 20,000 crore or $2.4 billion in phased city-side developments with nearly 70% earmarked for Mumbai and Navi Mumbai airports. The goal is to boost non-aeronautical revenue to 70% by 2030, up from 50% now. The 240-acre Navi Mumbai airport project will feature hotels, offices and retail, aiming to emulate global airport city models like Schiphol and Zurich. The International Finance Corporation or IFC is anchoring a $1 billion real estate fund with HDFC Capital Advisors, aiming to boost green affordable housing in India. IFC's $150 million investment in the H-Dream Fund will help mobilize $850 million from other investors. The fund will finance projects implementing green building standards, addressing the housing gap, and promoting sustainable urban growth. The Securities and Exchange Board of India has issued a consultation paper suggesting key amendments to the SEBI Listing Obligations and Disclosure Requirements Regulations 2015 or LODR regulations. These proposed changes aim to simplify and streamline compliance obligations concerning related party transactions or RPTs for listed entities and their subsidiaries. One of the major proposals includes revising the thresholds for determining material RPTs. The current requirements often lead to extensive disclosures even for transactions with negligible impact. SEBI intends to ease this burden by recalibrating these thresholds, which would allow companies to focus on truly significant transactions. Deloitte India has entered into strategic alliance with Embark to offer end-to-end support to global firms building and scaling their global capability centers in India, covering strategy, operations, infrastructure, and governance. India is no longer just a destination for large multinational corporations. Even mid-market companies are increasingly tapping into India for capability development. US President Donald Trump has ruled out any trade negotiations with India, following his administration's move to double tariffs on Indian imports to 50%. The White House cited India's continued purchase of Russian oil as the trigger. Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded by stating that India will not compromise on the interests of its farmers. Tata Sons has initiated early talks with minority shareholder Shapurji Palanji or SP Group to explore potential exit and monetization options for SP's 18.37% stake currently pledged with lenders. This follows a resolution by Tata Trusts to retain Tata Sons' private status and seek a settlement. Chairman N. Chandrasekaran recently met Shapur Mistry, marking their first formal engagement since 2016. The Reserve Bank of India mandates banks to settle deceased customers' deposit accounts, safe deposit lockers, and safe custody articles within 15 days, effective January 1, 2026. Non-compliance will incur penalties including interest on deposit delays and a daily charge for locker settlement delays. The move aims to standardize claim processes and compensate customers for inconveniences. India's electronics sector may lose $20 to $30 billion in business opportunities over the next few years due to rising US tariffs, especially if semiconductors are included. While Apple and Samsung may receive exemptions due to planned investments in the US, most non-smartphone electronics exports from India face heavy duty. In a move to simplify retail participation in government securities, the Reserve Bank of India has introduced an auto-bidding feature on its Retail Direct portal. This feature is designed to streamline the investment process for treasury bills, allowing retail investors to place bids in primary auctions automatically without manual intervention each time. The newly introduced functionality supports both initial investment and reinvestment in T-bills. Investors can now schedule their bids and create a systematic investment plan, much like SIPs in mutual funds. Reliance Retail, the consumer arm of Reliance Industries, has officially written down its Rs 1,645 crore investment in hyperlocal delivery startup Dunzo. This comes after Dunzo, once an early entrant in the hyperlocal delivery and logistics space, lost its edge in the cutthroat quick commerce market. Dunzo shut operations earlier this year in January after its app and website went offline as the last of its remaining co-founder and CEO, Kabir Biswas, left the company. Biswas went on to join Flipkart to lead the e-commerce major's quick commerce operations, Flipkart Minutes. Bengaluru is currently dominating India's commercial office sector. Leasing activity is at a record high. Vacancy levels are the lowest in 10 years. Other cities like Chennai, Delhi NCR and Hyderabad are also expected to see stable or improving vacancy rates. Demand is driven by GCCs, BFSI, flex space operators and IT BPM firms. New office supply is projected to increase. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Friday withdrew the Income Tax Bill 2025 in the Lok Sabha, and the government will come out with an updated version of the legislation after incorporating changes suggested by the Select Committee. A new version of the Income Tax Bill will be introduced in the Lok Sabha on August 11th. The updated version of the Income Tax Bill will incorporate most of the recommendations of the Select Committee. Infibeam Avenues Limited will sell its e-commerce platform infrastructure business to its subsidiary Rediff.com India Limited in a Rs 800.39 crore deal. The move is meant to give both sides a clearer focus. Infibeam says it will now double down on payments and artificial intelligence through CC Avenue and its Phronetic.ai unit. Rediff will fold the e-commerce platform into its Rediff One business suite, alongside its email, news and payment products. SoftBank Group is leaning on its fintech and Indian startup portfolio, including the public listings of Lenskart and Meesho, to drive a turnaround in Vision Fund 2 or SVF2, which continues to carry a $22.1 billion gross loss despite recent valuation gains. Both companies are among the top 3 largest private investments by fair value in SoftBank's India portfolio alongside OYO, which sits in Vision Fund 1. The India portfolio comprises 15 private investments with a combined unrealized fair value of $4.1 billion. Lenskart and Meesho, both backed via SVF2, are now being positioned for public listings in the coming quarters. India seeks collaboration with UK, France and Japan for fighter jet engine production. Offers from Rolls-Royce, Safran SA and a Japanese firm are under consideration. This initiative aims to modernize the Air Force and reduce reliance on imports. It also addresses supply chain concerns highlighted by global events. The goal is to boost domestic defense production and create jobs. The Association of Mutual Funds in India has announced a significant update to its best practices guidelines by increasing the brokerage cooling off period to 12 months. This change applies when investors shift their mutual fund assets from one distributor to another and is aimed at safeguarding fair distribution practices across the mutual fund industry. As per the updated norms, asset management companies or AMCs must now observe a 12-month cooling off period before realizing trail commissions to new mutual fund distributors when an investor changes their ARN or AMFI registration number code. This is a substantial change from the earlier 6-month period that was in place.
This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.